Hello and welcome back to the Macca's Talk Hockey Podcast, the podcast where me and my brother Charlie talk about English ice hockey, specifically the NIHL, the National Ice Hockey League, the league we love and enjoy. And we're back with another team special, and I'm back with my Pepsi Maxes. We've got the Leeds Knights team special, and we have a really special interview actually. With Noah McMullin, who is back for his second season. And it was quite a nice little interview, wasn't it, Charlie? he's he's very chilled out, isn't he?
Yeah, nice guy. He's very good at hockey as well. Um, and yeah, it was a good interview. It gives you a bit of insight. I think Leeds fans will enjoy it because I think he should have been at least one of the fan favourites last year and was a big part of retaining it. And he was probably the standout defensive D man in the league, and many would say he was the best. So it's very nice to have him on the pod actually.
Yeah, I he's quite a quiet character, isn't he? But he just talks about Leeds fans are going to love it because he talks about how much he loves Leeds. Charlie's got his Rangers one. We all got one of them, I think. But yeah, the Leeds Knights. Let's crack straight into it. Actually, if you are new, in our team specials, we've done three already. We've done the whole Seahawks, done the Bees ice hockey, and who's the other one we did?
Telford.
Telford, that's
Yeah,
it. Telford Tigers. So
I
we've
missed
done
it.
three.
I
Go
was in Mallorca.
Yeah, Charlie was in Mallorca for the bees one. But Charlie's back. He's ready for these ones. And yeah, we're doing the Leeds one. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up here. But we basically go through last season, how they did, basically ranking their season. We'll cut to the interview, and then we'll look at next season, who they've signed up, the new players they've brought in, our expectations, and finishing with our ones to watch, which will be fun. See who everyone picks. But yeah, let's look back at last season then. Pardon me. And the Leeds Knights, they did the back to back, Dan. They won the league back to back, and they deserved it as well, didn't they?
yeah, 100%. They are a wagon, and you got to say it, they are the team to beat. Like, I think everyone knows that now. They have set the bar for the league, and they they've they. I think we obviously didn't doubt them, but we looked at their roster at the start of the season and we thought they should be at the top, but we don't think they'll do it again. Because obviously we had like MK and stuff like that.
And they lost a
But
couple players.
yeah, that's what I mean. They've obviously lost a few imports as well, but but yeah, they just did it again, and it all goes down to Aldridge and the players buying into his plans, and yeah, he's just a wagon up in Leeds.
Yeah, Charlie. Looking back then to the start before the season even started, I think we all put Leeds to come second or third. We thought MK were going to do it. Leeds lost Shudra, they lost Hazeldine, they lost two really big parts of that team, and Barnes as well. And we were like, how are they going to replace those players and imports as well? They brought in McMullin. They went with the import D man route. We were very interested to see how that would work out. And let's just say it worked out a treat with McMullin. It wasn't a slow start, but we saw the best of McMullin at the end because he picked up an injury at the start, didn't he, Charlie?
Yeah, Leeds. Just don't doubt them. Like, don't doubt Leeds. Their mentality is the best in the league. It is. There's no denying it, and that's what wins them the league. I think they go into every game knowing they're going to win it. They battle really hard. They work their bum off, and even their top end players, they work for the badge. They really
Yeah.
do. And they did really well. I think they'll. I say it how it is. I think some of their players will be a little bit disappointed they only won one trophy last year. I
Yeah.
think some of their players would have looked back at last year, considering how dominant they were, losing to a team they 6-0'd
Yeah.
or 5-1 or something like that. I think they'll be a little disappointed they didn't actually get more than one trophy,
Yeah.
but they did do very well in the league, and they made a very good MK team look pretty average when it came to the league title race.
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? I think we'll go back to their squad and the imports actually. So they started the season off with McMullin, Barron, and then they had Josh Adkins. Now, Josh Adkins, he come into the team, and he was all right. He was decent. I thought he put up some good points. You're gonna put up good points in that Leeds team, but it didn't seem quite the right fit, did it, Dan? They then brought in Bailey Conga, and again, it didn't quite seem the right fit. And then they brought back Witkowski, and it just from there they really, really kicked on, and they finally had that squad which they could take for the rest of the season. And even before that, they were top of the league anyway. So it just shows how dominant it is and how brutal Aldridge can be, but it benefits the team a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, it goes back to Aldridge. Obviously, those players have got to play into how he wants to play. Obviously, he is the guy at the top, and he's the one who's making the plays and obviously training these players. So if these players aren't fitting what he wants, then he has to make changes. That's what a good coach would do. You know, if
Yeah,
the players aren't going to be listening and they're not going to be playing to the way he wants them to play, he's going to have to change it up. And it turned a few heads when he got rid of Adkins at the start because everyone was like, well, he's done all right. Like
yeah.
he'd be all right in any other team. And then obviously they brought in Conger, and he had a really good CV to
He's
be fair.
and he started off
And
quite well, I'll be honest.
yeah, I mean, me and Charlie, we went to MK and we watched his first game for Leeds, and we were like, oh, this guy's summer. He's a really quick skater and really good hands. But again, obviously, it obviously didn't work out for him there. And Aldridge again went back to what he knew works. Like
Witkowski, yeah.
you, and obviously it proved it. And he's a playoff player.
Yeah, he is. I didn't think it would be this long before we mentioned his name, but he is the face of the league. That is Kieran Brown, the top scorer of the league, the player of the season. Kieran Brown getting 122 points, 61 goals, 61 assists. Charlie, it just comes natural now, doesn't it, to him? Yeah, there's nothing else we can say about him.
But the thing which impresses me the most is go back not last season, but the first year Leeds won the league, and Brown had 121 points, so one less point, I believe.
Yeah,
But the next closest to him was Hayward and Shudra on 113. So he had people firing at somewhat similar
yeah,
levels, right? Last year, the closest to him was 89. The guy's on another level to his team now. Like he's at that standard where I'm going to be honest, if he try hard at every game, I don't think he'd be far off 150 points.
yeah.
Like he there's games where he can go on cruise. When he wants to turn up, it's just disgusting. I remember the game where Swindon played Leeds and it was like 8-6 or something. It was
It was
stupid.
9-7.
9-7. Every shot was going in. But I remember whenever Kieran Brown got the puck, he just cannoned it. Scored the Michigan. I think he scored a cannon. He got like 3 assists. Like the guy plays on easy mode, and it's scary to think he's probably going to be a better version again next year. Like he well, no, not even probably. He will, unless he picks up an injury, he will be a better version.
Yeah, it is just nuts.
What? He's got 9 more goals than appearances. It's silly. It's silly. Like the next closest goal scorer on the team of Leeds has got nearly 30 goals less than him, 26 goals less than him, and that's Howler. Like he can carry this team when he wants to. Like there's no player like him in the league when it comes to scoring.
Yeah, and we're not saying they won it just because of Brown, because we're going to go to the other end now. And we'll come back to the attackers in a bit because there's a couple we need to shout out. But we'll go to the other end, which is the defensive side, which I think it doesn't go under the radar, but it was a big part of why they did win the league, Dan, because they were able to grind out those gritty games which you only win 3-2 or 4-2. Do you know what I mean? And I know we mention him a lot, but Sam Gospel proved again this season why he is the best goalkeeper in the league, didn't he?
Yeah, 100%. But not only gospel, like you say, it's the defense in front of him as well. He trusts the defense, and the defense obviously trusts him. Another player that I think goes under the radar a lot is Lewis Baldwin.
Yeah,
I think he's a really strong D man. He's been there since day one. He reads the game really well. Also, you've got Bailey Perry as well. He's really
yeah,
solid at the back. But that's the difference between Leeds and any other team is they do grind out those games. Like the away games in a tough rink, they'll grind it out and they always find a way.
yeah.
And 100% is down to that defence. They can stop the puck going in the net, and then they've got the forwards that can just do it. You know what I mean? So it all goes down to that defence and goaltending for Leeds, and they just do it to the T every time.
They don't really go into any game thinking, "Oh, we've got this in the bag." They just all out for 60 minutes. They work hard. They go roll through the lines. And yeah, they may not have a better team on paper. some would argue, than MK. But it's not all about that, is it? And this season proved it again. And I know Brown popped off. But yeah, they won the league. Let's go to
Mentality monsters. They're the mentality monsters.
they are.
There's some players they didn't even have the whole season. Like McMullin missed the start of the year, and it took him, to be honest, it took him like a third of the season to wake up. Boysa like properly get to that standard. I say wake up. He was still at a very high standard, but he hit that top of the league.
You mean go even up a couple of gears?
Yeah.
You mean?
Boysa, I think it took him a little bit of time to settle in, and we saw in playoffs how easy it was for him to rip up the league. And then they had import problems for half the year, and then Innes Gallagher as well. He played a third of the year, so they had their battles last year, their challenges, and they still came out on top.
Yeah, we'll go on, Dan.
The thing that I was going to say is obviously you can have really good players, but it doesn't necessarily mean that those really good players are going to beat a really good team. Like the team as a whole has got to all work together, and that's like Leeds may not have the best players, but their team as a whole is by far the best.
They do have some of the best players.
Well, yeah, they do.
Like,
but
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Obviously, like you can have superstars, and if they don't work well together, they won't go anywhere. You know what I mean? It's just a solo game. But
absolutely,
you could have the best team, and that's what Leeds have got.
Yeah, and across a league season, as Charlie said, they just grind it out. The cup I do want to talk about because they haven't won the cup the last couple seasons, and Hull did do them in that semi-final. They really did, especially in that second leg when Leeds had it at home. Hull did them, and I think they are liable a bit in some of those cup games, those one-off games. Some teams can really try and get at them. And again, the playoffs. It is very harsh, though. We talked about it before the playoffs started, how we don't want it to go to penalty shots because it is a flip of a coin, and they literally lost the playoffs on one penalty shot. And that's how it is, isn't it, Dan? It's just so unlucky that they've had to lose it on penalty shots, but they've lost it.
Yeah, well, that's just hockey. Hockey can be the most heartbreaking sport in the world sometimes, but at the same time, it can be one of the best. It just depends what side you're on.
Yeah. But Charlie, another couple of names. Bo Neely, we spoke about him throughout the season. 35 points.
What a player!
He's played every single game for him as well, so he was very consistent throughout. Dylan Hare, who picked it up. We're going to go through these in the second half because, as you can tell, they've signed they've re-signed a lot of them. So we'll go through a couple of them in the next half. What was that, Charlie?
I have to say is I'm looking at the Leeds roster. Most of the players are year 2000 or below. Like they've only got a couple who are above that, and if they are, they're only a little bit. This Leeds team is only getting better this year.
Yeah,
like a year added on to their experience. When we go for it in the second half, you can list some of the youngsters in this team, and there's plenty of players in that 18 to 22 age bracket, which is the years of your career where each year you can take big steps forward. It's scary how good this Leeds team does look.
Yeah. But as you said, they didn't do the treble, which I know a lot of the players wanted to do that. They wanted to up their double they got the season before, and this season it's actually quite harsh to say they've regressed, that they've only got one cup, but the league is the most coveted one, and they did retain that, and I think that shows they are the best team, even though they maybe didn't win the cup or the playoffs. Across the whole season, they were the best team and the standout team, and all the credit goes to the players, but also Aldridge, who I think has a massive influence on how that team plays home and away. And I think away games was the key, Dan. They're just so dominant away, even if they're not playing at their best. I remember the Raiders game. I think they were losing 5-3, I think it was. They got it back to 5-5 and won it in overtime. And they just get it done, don't they? I think you don't have to play your best every game, but when they just get it done. I don't know what else to say on it.
Yeah, I think there's obviously I went to a few of the MK Leeds games because they were the games to be at last season. And the only time I did see them struggle was in MK. Obviously, MK is a really tough rink anyway. We all know that. But that's the only time I've ever seen Leeds like really sort of run out of ideas, if you know what I mean. Like they just they tried everything, but they still couldn't just get down MK in their own rink. But 100% they'll be going for that next season because they didn't win there at all last season. So.
No, they didn't actually. They didn't win a game. So they'll be looking to get one back, and the rival will be quite good because Sisters has gone to Milton Keynes, and obviously he cross-checked McMullin in the head. So there'll be a bit of bitter rivalry between them. Obviously, they're the top two as well. We'll cut to the McMullin interview. As we said, it was a really nice, chilled interview, and he talks about his love for Leeds. So we'll cut that now. Hello, welcome back, Charlie. We've got another special guest. Do you want to introduce him?
Yes, we would like to welcome onto the podcast today. Some would say he's the best D man in the league. He came from Canada and he won the National League, but he wants more and he's back with the Leeds Knights. So we'd like to welcome onto the podcast Noah McMullin. How we doing, mate?
Good guys, thanks for having me.
No worries. How's the off season? I know you're back in Canada.
That's going well so far. Looking forward to getting back over and starting the season.
Yeah,
Mhm.
have you still managed to get on the ice?
I haven't skated yet this summer, but I normally take quite a bit off
Yeah,
on ice wise, but looking to get that ramped up here shortly.
nice one. And do you know when you're heading back to Leeds?
Uh, no date yet, but I know we end of August we have a little fan meet and greet thing we gotta
Yeah,
attend, so around then.
nice one. Go on, Charlie.
Perfect, perfect. So, you've come from Canada. Tell us, as the Leeds Night fans, it's a Leeds Night special, so we'll have lots of them watching. Tell us what it's like growing up in Canada with hockey. How was your kind of junior journey? When did you start?
Well, I've played ever since I could remember. Uh, I've always been on skates. Mom's she teaches figure skating and power skating and stuff, so I was
Oh, nice one.
kind of on skates ever since I could remember. And so, yeah, grew up playing every year and moved away from home when I was about 18. And
Okay, nice.
yeah, it's good to come back in the summers. But yeah, just been away from home for about 8 years now, just playing. So
Nice one. And you obviously played in the U Sports. We see a lot of players come over from the U Sports to the NIHL. What was the U Sports like compared to the National League? Obviously, you've done a full season now as well.
it's a little different for sure. It's There's better things and worse things, like just with any league, but it's the structure of English hockey is a little different than Canada for sure, just the play style and such. But
Yeah,
it's a good league, and I'm very happy with it. So,
yeah.
What would you say like the major differences between the U Sports and the National League are?
youth sports is a lot of emphasis on the defensive part of the game, where it
Yeah,
seems that the National League is a lot more high scoring games and run and gun, and
yeah.
just yeah, it's just the high scoring league. So
And you,
entertaining for sure and fun to play in, of course. But
and you get that in Leeds as well. Obviously, they're probably the most attacking team in the league, so you got the right team. How did the move come about then to Leeds? Was it always a plan to come over and play in the UK?
it was certainly on my radar. Um, I had a couple of friends who played in the elite league there, Bricknell being one of them, and they
Yeah,
spoke very highly of their time over here. So obviously, England was a spot where I wanted to play, especially where it's the same language. It'd be a
yeah.
pretty easy transition living wise. So yeah, it's just it was on the radar for sure.
And was it just Aldridge getting in touch with you or your agent and then trying to get the move over the line?
Kind of worked out nice. I had an agent last year that got in touch with Ryan,
Yeah.
but luckily Matt Barron's father used to coach in England as well with
Oh,
Ryan or
nice. Yeah, yeah.
for Steve. So him and Ryan knew each other with that Okanagan there.
Oh, nice one. And
So it was a little bit of a connection there, so that helped that happen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Go on, Charlie.
Um, and I think, as you mentioned earlier, the U Sports is a very defensive league. And I don't know if you know, but this year was the first year in the National League where we had import defensemen come in, and you being one of them yourself. And I think one of the things which stood out to us was your defensive game. As a defenseman, do you take that defense as your number one priority? And how did you manage to shut down a lot of the top guys in our league?
Oh yeah, I pride myself on the defensive part of my game. Of course, that's my biggest job is to get pucks out of our end, get them to our skill guys, our goal scorers, and let them go do their work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And was it what you expected? So obviously coming from a more defensive kind of league, coming over to England, did you know what you were coming into? Did it actually meet your expectations?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect. I'd watched some highlights from Leeds from the year before I came, so I
Yeah.
knew it was obviously they scored a lot, and it was but they don't. It's tough to judge on just like goals and stuff like that, watching
Yeah.
clips, and you're not seeing the full game, and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
not sure the how it actually plays out. But yeah, it kind of met my expectations.
Yeah. And go on, Charlie.
And you kind of went about it by, I think from what I could see, Aldridge put you out whenever the top line was out. Whenever the opposition's top guys were out on the ice, you got put out. And did you enjoy the challenge of going against these guys who scored 100 points last year?
Yeah, I always like playing against the top guys and take pride in being able to shut them down. It's a role I've had for a while now, since yeah, for as long as I can remember. That was kind of the I've always relied upon defensively, and
Yeah.
pretty reliable player. So just I'm used to playing against the top end guys, and I'll trying to shut them down the best I can.
Did you have to adapt your game slightly coming into a more attacking league, much, I guess, a bit more fast paced with some of these forwards just constantly coming at you?
Uh, I'd adapt it in the sense where I'd maybe be a little more offensive than I'm used to.
Yeah.
I was given more leeway to be able to jump into the play and stuff, and I think as the season went on, I started doing that more. I think I could still improve upon that and
Yeah.
help out a little bit more offensively for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And go on, Chaz.
sorry, yeah. I think next season, I think we'll see you definitely probably get more points in the National League. What was it like walking into the Leeds dressing room? Was there any characters which instantly kind of stood out? I know we know Ollie from Swindon, and he's a bit of a nutcase.
Yeah, yeah, he's something else. He's a good kid. He's always comes to the rink with a positive energy and a positive attitude. Obviously, he's a different guy, but he's an awesome guy, and like those are the kind of guys you need in your team.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a very good player, and more importantly, he's a great person. So
Mhm.
What is it like in that dressing room? Because I think a big part which fans don't realize is how close all of the team is. Like everyone just seems so connected together, and it just seems like such a good vibe playing in Leeds. And a lot of teams take it seriously, but I think Leeds obviously take it seriously, but they also have fun with it as well.
yeah, we have a pretty tight knit group. We keep it loose, and obviously, when you have a group that gels together, they're going to play well on the
Yeah.
ice together. It helps that there's a bunch of us all live like in the same building.
Yeah.
So, and even the guys who don't, they're pretty good guys in the dressing room too. Like, and they come in and they fit right in. Like, we're
Yeah.
always spending time together, so that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Go
And
on, Chaz.
and were you surprised by maybe the quality of some players in Leeds? You had Kieran Brown, obviously, who does rip up this league to a whole nother level. Were you surprised when you came in and saw players of his quality?
Oh, he's unbelievable. Yeah, always like I wasn't sure what the caliber was like. There's some unbelievable players. Like
Yeah.
he's so skilled, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone as fast as Mac. He can
He's
absolutely fly.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
bet you're glad you don't have to defend against Matt Howlett.
Oh yeah, there's not a chance. He's just
What's
gone.
it like in training when you're having to do? I'm guessing you do drills where Brownie and Mac are coming at you.
Yeah, just grab onto them and hope they don't get by you. That stuff you get away with in a game for sure.
Yeah. One of the things Charlie noticed a lot from last season, and you're not the tallest of guys. I think what you're 5'9", 5'10", but I think you're the best guy with this stick. Would you say, Charlie?
I'd say the way you poke the puck from a lot of the taller players who have the puck, you just never let them get close to Sam Gospel.
Ugh. Like 5'9" might be a little generous. That's
That's what it says on Elite Prospect.
no, that's a little generous. More like 5'6" for sure. Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, yeah, it's just boys. obviously being a shorter guy and smaller player, you have to be able to be a little more creative with the way you go after guys. And
Yeah.
obviously, over the years, I've learned to use my stick effectively and just get in there and knock pucks off their sticks.
Mhm. You had
Gauzy makes it easy too, so you keep guys to the outside, and he's always
What,
going to
what's
make the save.
what's it like playing in front of Gospel? Have you ever played in front of a goalie just like him?
He reminds me of a lot of guys I used to play against.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I can't remember where he's playing now. He's just an undersized guy who makes unbelievable saves and plays way bigger than he is. Gauzy's unbelievable. He certainly makes my job really easy. So,
It must be nice knowing you've got him behind you in case maybe there's a little error or something.
oh yeah, it just makes the game stress free, and
you had
Go
he
on,
makes
Chaz.
his job look so easy.
Oh, he
oh,
does, doesn't he?
Sam Gospel winds me up the wall as an opposition fan. But you had a step back this season. You had a concussion injury, I believe. Um, was it concussion, or am I being wrong?
Uh,
You had a
I
little
had
niggle, I think.
I separated my shoulder in
Oh,
That
preseason,
that
and
must have been it,
then
yeah.
so yeah, you
yeah,
came to England and you separated your shoulder. Sorry, I got that completely wrong. How was it kind of coming into a new country, getting your shoulder separated and going, all right, now I've got to get back into this team. Or these boys are already rolling, and how was that
I
getting back into it?
it was tough, especially just because in youth sports you're done your season in February. You
Yeah,
only play about 20, 25 games or something
yeah.
like that. So it had been it's been about 8 months since I played last or something like that. So I'd
Really?
gotten two games under my belt and trying to get back in the swing of things, get used to a new
Yeah.
team, get some chemistry going, and then that happens and you're out another 3, 4 weeks.
Do
Can't
you,
remember how long it was, and then trying to get your legs back under you.
yeah.
It was
Do,
a little bit of a tough transition there.
do you really notice I think it's almost double, maybe even triple with playoffs and cup games as well. Do you notice the amount of games compared to when you played in the U Sports?
Yeah, it felt like a lot, especially coming down the stretch there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a similar schedule to what we used to play in
Yeah,
junior hockey before school, and then that we had a couple years there. My first year was 28 games, and then because of
yeah,
COVID, we didn't play at all, and then shortened season the next year with like 17, and then another shortened season with 20.
yeah.
So I'd played more games this year than I did in 4 years.
Oh my goodness.
So,
That is crazy.
but hopefully next year, I think I'm a little more prepared this year and know
Yeah.
what to expect. And
You've had a
uh,
season under your belt now, haven't you?
yeah, I know what to expect now, and I think I'll be able to handle a little bit better than last year.
Yeah. Go on,
And
Chaz.
going into next season, I think fans will be worried around the league because we're probably going to get a better Noah McMullin. And I thought you were pretty good personally myself last year. So what are your goals going into the 24-25 season?
Uh, well, stay healthy, hopefully, and be able to help the team the best I can, and hopefully win another league championship, and
Yeah.
well, maybe get a cup. And it'd be nice to get all three, obviously. But
Yeah, do the treble.
yeah, yeah, that's obviously the goal is to come in here and do the best we possibly can.
Yeah. What's it like then? We ask a lot of the imports we get on. What's it like playing in the different stadiums and arenas? Obviously, you got Slough, which is really tiny. You got Swindon, which is quite a small rink. You then got Milton Keynes, which is a much bigger rink. So, did it take you a bit of time to adjust defensively on those rinks, or did you kind of pick it up quite quickly?
Uh, Smaller ones are always easier to play in.
Yeah,
Defensively, you don't got to move around as much. The Olympic size, like MK and such, was an adjustment.
yeah,
I think I've played in. I can count on one hand in the last 10 years how many times I've played an Olympic size pad.
yeah,
Uh, but it's different because there's no like it's what feels like normal
hmm.
size ice. Like they're going about Coventry how big it was, but that's like it feels like a normal North American size rink
Yeah,
I was used to playing in, and then every other rink seems to be either be undersized or
yeah.
huge. Yeah.
And Peterborough as well. I bet you haven't played in
You've got to get the
a ring
thoughts
like
on
Peterborough.
Peterborough. Oh, you
Oh
had a
yeah.
fun incident in Peterborough as well.
Oh my gosh. Actually, yeah, do you want to talk through that? What happened?
Uh, this guy got his stick up in my face and my nose was pointing that way.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
And you, to be fair to you, you troopered on through the rest of the playoffs. I don't think you were missing those, were you?
no, if the bleeding would have stopped, I would have came back out that game.
Really?
But it it spent a lot of the night in the Peterborough Hospital, and
Oh wow.
James Archer was kind enough to wait around and drive me back
Mhm.
to Sheffield, and then Aldi picked me up and took me home from there.
Yeah,
So
there's a good team at Leeds, and talk us through winning the league. How did it feel to be a league champion? I don't know if you've won trophies in your past, but I can. This is your first pro trophy win. How did it feel winning the league?
it felt pretty great. W wasn't really sure what to expect. Where like it's the season wasn't even over yet,
Yeah.
and play it wasn't even playoffs,
Mhm.
so I wasn't sure what everyone's reaction stuff was going to be and how I was going to feel, but it, it it felt unbelievable. Like there's and just especially to win it with that group of guys, like it felt better than you could have imagined, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
to have the fans out there and winning at home celebrating with you was pretty cool.
What's it like playing in front of the Leeds fans? Because they're quite a new team. I think they've been around for 3, 4 years now. They used to be the Chiefs, but what's it like playing in front of the Knights fans? Because they've certainly built up a really, really strong fan base.
They're a bunch of great people. They're always very polite to you and stuff when they see you in town or at the rink. And a rowdy bunch as well. That building gets so loud.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think you could ask for much of a better fan base than that. It's pretty special.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask, it's always interesting getting Canadians' takes on our playoff system because it's an unusual playoff system. Obviously, you boys made it to Coventry, made it to the final, and didn't quite make it in the end. But how did you find our playoff system? Do you prefer it? Do you prefer the American side?
I personally like the series,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
agree.
best of
We
seven.
prefer them in the
We
NHL and
agree.
the American League.
Yeah, they get pretty intense,
Yeah.
and it feels it's obviously not easy to make it to the finals in this, but when you have to battle through another 20 games, 21 games, and you're going to war every night, rather than like, there was a point where we knew we were in, so it was just kind
Yeah.
of coast through the last couple of games, hopefully no one gets hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But when you gotta grind your way through, uh, till it's just two teams left the whole time, it's just not much better than that.
Yeah. Well, because it used to be the system before having two groups of four. You'd literally play to get to Coventry. You'd literally play a home and away game against. I think it would be eight. So you would have played the Bees twice, and then the winner of that would have gone to Coventry. So at least you're managing to get 6 games before Coventry.
Yeah, it's like two game total goal you do or whatever whatever the word for that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that I don't know what I would like more, that or
Well, that
the
was
six
the way
games.
in the cup. That's how they do it in the cup,
Yeah,
isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And
yeah. The
how
Cup's 2 games.
and how was Cov? Obviously you didn't quite get the trophy. It was a shootout away. But how was Coventry? How did you find it?
Have you ever experienced
Uh,
anything like that with all the fans, by the way?
no, because it's normally just two teams there.
Yeah.
Uh, Having every team there is pretty cool, especially I can't remember which game it was. It was the Telford Peterborough one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, the MK fans were there and they started their chant, and then it seemed the whole building just went against them. It's pretty funny.
Anyone but MK.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was pretty funny. It was pretty cool too. When we walked in for the finals, our fans were already there, uh, and the place went nuts when we walked in, and the game hadn't even started yet. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. What was it like then the final? I know penalty shots, it's just a lottery really, and it's probably the worst way to lose. But what was it like playing in that final? Did you feel a bit nervous in front of not just Leeds fans, but all the other fans?
Obviously, yeah, the nerves are going to be there in the finals.
Yeah.
Thought we didn't start off the greatest in that game, but we battled back and we gave ourselves a chance. And
Mm.
losing a shootout, that's could go either way at that point. And I thought we had it too. And Ghazi did a great job taking the whoever scored it was their one their tie it there because we had the lead.
Barring
He,
the dance.
Barring. He's a joke, he is.
he scored a nice one there. Yeah, I thought Ghazi had him. He did all he could, and he just scored a
Yeah.
nice goal.
Have you been surprised with the quality of some of the opposition players and how competitive the league has actually gotten? And we've actually, I don't know if you've known too much about the Elite League. I know you've got a few friends there, but there's been a lot of Elite League players drop down. Hayward obviously being one of them who you know, Ferrara, Venus, County's just gone to MK. Are you surprised at how I guess competitive the league is getting to?
So that's kind of what I expected here. There's like, guys like Haywood, they've been around so long and they're so savvy with the way they play, and he's a veteran player. He
Yeah.
has little tricks and stuff he does, and he's so consistent and so good all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask, obviously, Swindon have just signed one of your mates, Jake Bricknell. But what's it like playing against some of your buddies from U Sports in Canada? Do you want to slash him in the leg, or do you want to?
Oh no, I'm looking forward to seeing him. We've mostly played together, and then we used to work together as well in the off season.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
Rick, he's a good guy. Swindon fans are gonna like him. He's a good player. Yeah, he's physical. He's pretty fast, and uh, I know he can fight too. I'm not sure if he likes to do that anymore, but he has. I've never seen a guy score so many goals where it just like it looks like it goes through the goalie. It's just a
Yeah.
heavy shot. Wouldn't want to get in front of that one too often. Uh,
You might have to
yeah,
block some of them next season, mate.
yeah.
So when you play Swindon, is it next year? Is it going to be putting that bit of extra effort so you can get one over Jake?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure he'll be the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing him too, and hopefully spend some time with him in the off weeks and such.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see the
How did the
little
sorry,
rival.
sorry, I was just going to ask. Was it were you always going to come back to Leeds? Like, obviously you've re-signed for the season. You re-signed quite early. Was it always a plan to come back to Leeds again after winning the trophy and then trying to go for the treble?
I wanted to go back to Leeds after playing there one game.
Really?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
That's nice to hear, man.
it's it's so cool there.
Leeds fans will love to hear that as well.
Yeah.
We were chatting to Matty Davies yesterday, the Hull Seahawks coach, and he was talking about one of the good things about our league is how imports come in and they stay. Because obviously you've come all the way from Canada and you've come to our league and you've almost found a home already at Leeds. And so you and Matt Barron, the Cowboys, is it the Cowboys together? they're rocking out in Leeds, and you've got another Canadian as well, Matt Bissonette, with you boys as
Oh
well.
my goodness. Have you I don't think have you played against him or played with him?
Yeah,
Well,
I played
obviously played
against him.
against
He
him at
was
Sheffield.
Sheffield there, yeah. Yeah, I played against him at Sheffield last year. Spoken to him a couple times. Looking forward to meeting him. Seems like a good guy.
Yeah, you're in for a treat with him. It's only adding to Leeds, and from a Swindon fan's perspective, we're like, oh no.
He's very good on the penalty kill as well. So he might make your job easier on the penalty
It's
kill
good.
because he can just do it all.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's good.
Go on,
it's
Chaz.
been a pleasure having you on, Noah.
I did want to ask actually, is there a player in the league which you like having a battle with on an opposition team? Is there one for which you're like, I'm really looking forward to having a battle against him?
Oh, last year it was Gale. I've
Oh,
had some good
really?
battles. I've had some good battles with him. Him and Colby both. They both played for Nipissing. I played
Yeah.
against them at school,
Okay.
and it would always be a rough game when we played them, and it'd always be a close game. Uh, Not sure now. Yeah, anytime you play Swindon, obviously it's a battle, and it's always
It's a
fun.
rivalry, isn't it? It's the Nell
Yeah,
Classico they call it.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, Steve, or Nell there. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
What's his name again? Aaron. Sorry. Yeah.
Aaron, yeah.
Aaron. Yeah. Yeah. Aaron and Malzinski. Those are always good battles there. They're
That's
taller
Charlie's
players.
favorite player.
Yeah.
My boy, he's the best player in the league.
Brown will say otherwise.
Yeah, but thank you so much for coming on, Noah. We always finish off with the same question, and it sounds like you fell in love with them from minute one. What is your message to the Knights fans?
Uh, Thanks for your support last year. Can't wait to get back there. Have another great season. Hopefully, we can win a little more this year.
Mhm.
Nice one. Noah, thank you again for hopping on. I'm sure the Knights fans are going to really enjoy that interview, and we'll see you when you play against Swindon. We'll be looking forward to that battle against Jake.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you. Hello, welcome back. Thank you very much, Noah, for hopping on. We hope the Leeds fans and fans around the league enjoyed that one. We're in the second half now, so we're going to look at the roster they've signed up. A couple of players who have left, but it's pretty much a full re-signing of their team, and I don't blame them, to be fair. But there is a couple new boys as well, which we'll we'll certainly talk about because they are very big additions. But yeah, let's get into it. The goalkeeping, they've kept the same duo. There was some rumours. I'd only take them with a pinch of salt that Walker wasn't going to stay, but he's back, and he did get a couple games last season, Dan, and he played quite well as a backup. And yeah, you don't really break up that goaltending, do you?
No, well, we had a few important games to be fair to
Oh yeah,
him.
he did.
When Gospel was away, I think his wife was having a baby, so
Yeah,
but that's fair enough. But yeah, Walker, I think he had a few. I think he kept Hull in a few Leeds in a few games. To be fair, I remember that game away in Hull. I think he played us. He heard Town played really good.
yeah.
I messed my words up a bit there.
He played that 3 game weekend. It was us, Hull,
Yeah,
and
that was
someone
it.
else,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah,
He's one of the better backups in the league. I'd probably say he's in the top 5 backups in the league. So
Yeah.
you can't really
Well,
complain
he's
about that.
got a good goalie to learn from, isn't he?
Yeah, but you expect Gospel to play in all the big games and most of the games because he can troop through a lot. We've seen him do that, haven't we, Charlie?
That's how they do it though, because I think the schedule will be a bit more rammed, and I think there's for me a clear bottom 4 teams in the league. I think that I may be wrong, but I think I'm right. Um, if that is the case, it wouldn't surprise me if they gave Walker the start versus a Bees, a Bristol, a
Possibly, yeah.
Solway maybe at home. I think it'd be good to give Gospel a couple more nights off if you can this year, but
Yeah.
no, Gospel does play every single game and he dominates every game anyway. So
It'll be
He loves it as
interesting
well.
though. The
He
big
loves
talk
playing.
the big talking point will be will the new import goalkeepers match Gospel or go even better than Gospel? So we might even see Gospel raise his game even higher so he can outperform these import netties. And I know the defence comes into it as well, protecting the goalie, but he's going to be challenging against those import netties. So yeah, that'll
he'll
be
have
a
the
really,
highest
really
save
good battle
percentage in the
between them.
league.
What's that, Charlie?
Sam Gospel will have the highest save percentage in the league at the end of the season and will be
He
the
had
best.
the joint with Headley, so it'll be interesting.
Headley played like a third of the games.
Yeah, but still,
He's
it's a great
MVP.
goalkeeper tending back, and I didn't think anyone expected otherwise. Onto the defense then, and they've pretty much re-signed everyone apart from Colvin. So Colvin moved on. He came from Invicta, I believe, and he's gone back to the National One where he's going to probably be playing a lot more minutes. But he was a good little backup to have, Dan, and it says he played 54 games, so he was available all the time. But with the new player they've brought in, I can see why he's gone back to get more minutes.
Yeah, 100%. He was always going to be that sort of depth player. I
Yeah.
think he can play forward as well. So he's sort of one of them players that can play in any position, which is really helpful for a team. But yeah, I mean, he didn't have a bad year. I think when I've seen him play and stuff, I think he's quite a smooth skater. He can carry the puck well. He's obviously got an offensive game to him. But yeah, good luck to him in the National One. I'm sure he'll do well.
Yeah, and then as you'd expect, they've pretty much re-signed all of the defensemen. You've got McMullin, of we've talked a lot about. Obviously, he's come on. I think that was a key re-signing to have. And then Bo Neely as well. We know how good he's been, and he's only going to get better, isn't he, Dan? As the time goes on. Charlie, one who I do want to talk up. Everyone, all the Leeds fans say we don't big up Baldwin enough, but I think he's a legend. He's been there since the Chief days, and yeah, he's bold and he's good as he is. But Dylan Hare, Charlie, is someone who I thought got come on leaps and bounds throughout the season and got that top four role, didn't he? And he actually scored quite a few points back end of the season.
Yeah, he's only 24. No, 21, sorry.
Yeah,
Um, really young, been there. He played a little bit for Leeds Chiefs. Then he got his chance of Leeds the year before last. Took it. I think played that third pair D role really well. Sometimes second pair, and he's just one of them guys who I talk about a lot when it comes to players. But you just need them local lads who stick with you, who do their job. To be honest, aren't like unbelievable. Like he's never going to be in that category of oh my days, I'd do anything to have him in our team. But because he's a local lad who just does his job and he's good at his job, they're the players which win you titles. Like if you look at the Telford teams which do well, you look at the Danny Roses and them and the McKinnons and them type of players who may not light the world apart, but you know what you're going to get from them every single game. And he's just one of them guys. And yeah, he's very good, and he's going to be a third pair defenseman this year, and he's gonna make that role look very fun.
yeah, he could go into the top four though. That's the thing. Like he's capable to complement someone like Bo Neely or Baldwin. So it'd be interesting to see what D partnerships do come about. And Griffin as well. He's only 22 years old. Like that's the funny thing about it. They've got one of the strongest D cores. The only well. Baldwin's 1999 and McMullin's 1998. The rest are 22 and under, Dan. Like, it is ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got such a young, the whole team, but yeah, especially in the D is really young. But that's just so key for Leeds because, like I've said, obviously defensemen are so hard to come by, and if you're getting them this good at this young, they're only going to get better, and that means like the players like you've got Baldwin, you've got Hare, you've got Perry. They're the local lads. They're just going to grow with the team, and
Yeah,
you've pretty much obviously I'm not saying you have, but you've pretty much got them locked in. Like
yeah.
they're not going to want to leave Leeds if you keep treating them the way they're being treated and the way that they're winning all this time. So they're going to be locked in for a good few years.
That's shown with all the re-signings. Bailey Perry, Charlie. It seems like he's going to be playing a lot more hockey this season. Leeds have got their like second team, you could call it, in the NHL One North. And Bailey Perry's on a two-way. I do still expect him to play some games in the National League because we know there's going to be injuries. You're going to need those players sometimes, but he's going to improve even more, Charlie, of being one of the top guys in that Leeds Knights 2 team, isn't he?
Yeah, I think his ice time got reduced a little last year, from the year before, and his yeah, just because Leeds' defense did get better.
Yeah.
That there was a better defenseman which got signed. Bo Neely and McMullin were a big part of that. But I think it'd be good for him to get some more ice time. But I think it'd be a different year for him. I think it's got to be a strong mentality year. Don't get yourself down about playing in the National One because he's going to hopefully be getting top line, top PK, and potentially top PP minutes.
Yeah.
And that's going to help him learn scenarios, learn different scenarios of the game. So maybe when he hits 22, 23, he can play some top line PK minutes for Leeds if he's still there or wherever he's at. So I think it'd be a different year for him, but it's crazy that he's a seventh D man to me. I don't think he's a seventh D man for pretty much every team in the league, maybe not MK. He's a very, very good D man, and for him to be a seventh shows how good their depth is.
He's only 20 years old. He's just turned 20. So, as you said, he's got plenty of time to progress and maybe get more game time under his belt will help him just get to that next level, the Leeds level, which has been set so high over the last couple seasons. They have signed one new defender, Dan, or defenseman, and that is Christianis Fugalis or Fugalis. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, so sorry if I've butchered it. But he is a young defenseman, 21 years old, 6 foot. He's Latvian, but he's played youth for the Swindon Leopards, so it counts as a Brit. And he's been playing in Canada the last 5 seasons. Yeah, he looks pretty good, Dan. He played in the NOJHL, which is a decent little league for some of those youngsters. He got 17 points in 32 games as a D man. We could really see a Boney Lee V2 this season, couldn't we?
Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, all the youngsters say that if you do get a chance to go to Canada, then take it 100%. And I think all the players that have gone to Canada have always come back better. Obviously, I didn't see him what he was like before he went to Canada, but I know in Canada they do work on a lot of stuff, and it's not like plays; it's more like how you play yourself. And
Yeah.
I'm obviously not 100% sure, but I know they would have watched how he plays and they'd have given him like drills for him and so he can really improve on his defensive game. And they'll dial in on the proper important defensive plays that a D-man has to make. And yeah, he's going to be really exciting for sure. But it'll be interesting to see what he's like.
If I had to guess, I think he'd be really good skater. Playing in Canada the last 5 years, and he played a bit of under 17s for Latvian team. So, yeah, what were you going to say, Charlie?
It's a gross signing. I can't remember who we were speaking to about it. It was one of the imports, and we were asking what's the league like where he came from. And I think they said similar to Bo Neely's. It's a very, very good signing. And one of the things I've noticed in our league, especially last year, MK were a team which took the step and Leeds were as well. If you want to be a really dominant team, you need D men who are really comfortable on the puck, who just take the puck and they can skate forward with it or they can pick out a pass without panicking. And the thing I think Bo Neely was so good at, and McMullin is good at, and Baldwin is good at, and Bebris is good at, and all of these players, Nags is good at, is they look forward and they don't panic and they pick the pass. And I think this guy will be very good at that. And if he's got that trait in him, he will naturally convert to this league quite comfortably. It'd be interesting to see whether I'm sure he'll probably start on third pair unless he is an absolute amazing player. But it'd be interesting to see if he builds his way up the lines because I think the competition for Leeds' D core right now is looking looking pretty crazy. It's crazy to think that potentially Griffin or Hier could be a sixth D man for Leeds.
Yeah, that is it's good competition. As a coach, though, you're like,
Their
I've
D
got all
core
these good D men who are going to be playing even harder than they did last season to try and get on a top 4 spot.
But D cores are looking better for a lot of teams in the league this year.
Yeah.
And I'll give two examples. MK's D core is better because they got an import, and Swindon have added Ed Bradley in an import to their D core. The D cores are looking higher level this year, so it means Leeds have potentially got to take that even step up from last year as a D core to make sure they keep the best D core in the league if they can. So it's going to be interesting.
It's a good point because the league just naturally progresses over the next 2 seasons, and Leeds can't just keep the same team because they won last season. They're going to add a couple players, and I'm just guessing, but he played down in Swindon when he was younger, so he would have had that contact with Aldridge because he taught a lot of the younger players when they were younger. So it's just all of those contacts, and Aldridge knows what he's doing, doesn't he, as a coach? So yeah, it's a fantastic signing, and I'm sure we'll see very good things coming from Chris Yanis. I don't think you pronounce it Chris Janis. I think you pronounce the J as a Y, so Chris Yanis. So yeah, we'll have to see if he can tell us how to pronounce his name properly because I don't want to be pronouncing it wrong for the next season. So yeah, that completes the D core. They've got 7 D men with Bailey Perry on the 2-way. So yeah, very, very strong defensive core with Gospel as a whole. And then moving to the forward core, again, it's pretty much similar to last season, but with a couple adds. The only player who's not in the team who was in it last season is Gregor Mills. He didn't get too much of an opportunity, Dan. Obviously, he was training with the team a lot. He got a couple of ice time. I think he scored 1 goal as well, but I think it was just a bit too much of a step up for him straight away, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was just a bit too soon for him. I'm sure he's obviously again we didn't see much of him to be fair. Obviously you can't really judge on a player that you've not really seen much of, but I think yeah, if he had a few more seasons down in a lower league, and then maybe hopefully he didn't burn any bridges with obviously Aldridge, which I can't imagine he would have.
I don't think he would
But
have.
maybe in a few years' time, maybe he'll be like, right, can you give me maybe another chance and see what I can do at this league? And obviously you've got that link now with that new Leeds team. So obviously that could be another little pathway up to Leeds and it could work out in that way too for the future.
There's quite a lot of pathways in the league now. So it'll be interesting to see where he signs. He might go abroad again, and play some hockey abroad. But yeah, the re-signings, and we'll start with the young lads. Ollie Endicott, we know Ollie Endicott very well. Again, he's just going to keep on improving, Charlie. I think he's got a big role this season. On that third line, we assume he's an absolute terrier, workhorse. He can play centre, he can play on the wing. And he's got another season of getting used to the league. He's bigger, he's stronger. And I think he's going to add a few more points this season as well, Charlie.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. The Leeds forward top six looks set. It's going to be very difficult for him to break into that. And he did get 37 points last year, which I think is really
Wow, I
good.
didn't actually realise that's a lot of points.
I think that's a very good year for Ollie. And if he can repeat that, I think that's a good year.
Yeah, if he's
Especially
on
on a
third
third
line.
And there's more competition on the third line this year. So far, they've got Ethan Here, Ollie Endicott, Innes Gallagher, and Finley Braden for their third line,
Yeah.
which is really good. But I don't think they're done there. I'm not convinced yet. I think they've got one more forward to sign Leeds.
Or they could sign someone mid-season as well.
They've got 10 forwards, and I think and I know they've got Owen Dow in their Leeds too, and he's not actually that bad. He played for Romford for a couple games, so maybe they're having him as a 11th forward who comes in when they get injuries, but they haven't announced that. So I think Leeds have got one more forward to sign. I don't know the quality of this forward, and I don't know if they are signing this forward, but if they do, I think players like Ollie are going to really have to work hard for that spot, because Finley Braden, Ethan Here, and Innes Gallagher are not going to want to sit on a bench. So it's going to be hard working, but I do think Ollie is the best player on that third line. And I think he's got a huge role. And I think this year he'll be really good at ratting it out a bit more. I think talent to rat out a bit more, even if he gets a bit less points. I'd actually think maybe letting the top six, which is just one of the most stacked top sixes you can see, do their job and just rat it out, draw penalties, have a good
The
time.
Ollie Endicott he was a couple seasons ago, because I think he had to fill in the top six a bit last season.
If he plays third line full year, I think you can be a bit more of a rat and just have fun with it. But at the same time, as he showed last year, and I've got a lot of respect for him, getting 37 points when you're playing third, second line the whole year is very impressive. And if he can get near that again, I think he's having a very successful year.
Similar, different type of player. Is Finley Braden, only 18, Dan. He's got the height, 6'2". He's only going to get bigger as well. Obviously, he's been playing with the GB under 20s now. He's got that step up. He got 21 points. That's only going to improve, I think. I think him and Ollie are going to be a nice little duo, and Innes Gallagher as well. And then your Ethan Hare you can chuck in. But I think them two specifically, they've got a nice little partnership together.
Yeah, I really rate Braden a lot. I really like the way he plays. I think he's a really clever kid, and he's got really good IQ as well.
Yeah.
And to have really good IQ at a young age is so important. And the fact that he is scoring them points at that age, and he's sort of solidified that spot in the third line now. He's obviously, like you say, he's just going to keep getting better, and he's going to keep building and growing. And he's good. He's gained that trust now from Aldridge, which is so important for these young players, because now Aldridge knows that he can put this guy out in situations that maybe he didn't know before. And yeah, Aldridge is going to keep working with him, going to keep growing him, and yeah, he's definitely one to look out for in the future, I think.
Yeah. And then as well, Ethan Hare, actually, we'll give him a little shout out because he's been with the Knights. Actually, he's been with them from the Chief days. So he's been with them right in the start, and he just goes about his business. He knows his role, penalty kill, and he chips in on the third line. He get 20, 18, 15, 40. Now, I know he's gone down in points, but Leeds top guys have naturally just gone up in points, and his role is he just works so hard. He's one of the most hard-working players in this league, and there is a reason why Aldridge keeps re-signing him, isn't there? Because he trusts him. He trusts him to put him out the ice, even if he's not going to score. He can shut down games. So I think he goes under the radar a bit. And then obviously Innes Gallagher, he's come in on a full-time role, so that's quite important. I don't know if he's going to be travelling down from Scotland this time, but he's on a full-time role. He only got 4 points in 18 games, but he's very skilled and his two-way game's very strong, isn't it, Charlie?
Yeah, Innes Gallagher was really good. I know you won't mind me saying. I remember remember Gareth Endicott coming to me after Innes had played a couple games for him, and he went, "This kid is good. Like he is very good. He's got quite a lot of speed about him. Quite a direct game as well, which I quite like. I just like it, and it's the thing. Like this is what I like about Leeds, and I think some teams sometimes need to build like Leeds do. They build a team where they got a top six, which is going to score them goal, and they got a third line which will chip in, but which will be a nuisance to play against. I think they're very good, and I think Dan will agree with me here. I think they're very good at signing third line players for third line roles. I know it sounds silly, but sometimes you can sign a really skilled guy and play him on a third line. It's not going to work
Yeah, no,
because
it's true.
because they're not going to get the opportunity and they're not going to be around the players to be able to skill up guys. And we were talking to Matty Davies about some players who like sometimes they work better on a top six role, and some players are top six role players. But what I like about Leeds is Innes Gallagher, Ollie Endicott, and Hier especially are like the perfect third liners. They literally just work their ass off. They wind teams up the wall. Ollie makes players punch him. He's so good at it. Hier just blocks shots, and Gallagher just runs around like he's playing for a contract. And so it just works. And I think that's what's good about Leeds is they just sign players for the third line who work for a third line because they know they've got a top six, which is going to do what top six
I
should
think
do.
the key thing is they don't win the league without these players. And you can have all the talent, and MK actually did win a trophy last season, and fair play to him for doing that. But it is about the depth pieces to get you in over the line in the league. You can be flashy on a third line, like Charlie said, but they just grind it out, and they do chip in with points. It's not like we're not saying they're just grinders. They do chip in with points. Like 14 points from Ethan Hare when his role isn't necessarily to score points. Those points could be massive for them. So yeah, very important roles. And then on to their top six. We'll start with the one who we were a bit like, oh, will he come back? And that was Matt Hayward. Of course he's back. And I will go to Charlie for this because I was talking to him earlier. How important is that, Charlie, getting that second line centre solidified? And he's one of the best centres in the league.
Yeah, he only scored 89 points last year as well. And that was 20 less than the year before. So yeah, he's good, and he's not even that old. He's only 33. I say only because I don't think that he is that old. He wins every important face off. His brother plays for Hull, which makes it quite exciting whenever they play them. And he's he's not as good as his brother, but he's quite close at being a rap as good as he is as well. He's the player in Leeds' top six who's actually very good at just winding people up at the same time. He's very good at this league, and for Leeds to have him back, he's important because he's the type of guy you put on the ice when you've got a draw, you want to win. I think from what I can imagine, he seems like he's extremely good in the dressing room. I feel like he gets the players. He's a big leader in that team, and he enjoys winning. Like he loves Leeds because he just gets to win. You can tell he likes to win, and he hates losing, and it builds into teams. So yeah, it's just a very, very good signing, and I think for most teams he'd be a top line centre, and for Leeds he's a second line centre because they got Kieran Brown at
Kieran Brown on top line. It's not a bad little 1-2 to have, is it? Matt Cowlett, who again had a good season. Dan, I think he can do even better, and that's the scary thing. In his first season, where he only come in for 29 games, he got 2 points a game, 57 in 29. Last season he got 73 in 53, which is still very, very good. I still think he can go even better, close to that 100-point mark. And that is so scary because the stuff he doesn't do contributing to points are so vital for them as well.
Yeah, literally, I was gonna say the exact same thing. Like the stuff that he does, that obviously doesn't get shown up on the stats. Like the way he can skate, the way he can hold the puck in the corner, the way he can use the edge of his skate and just hold off D-men just by skating. It's just the way he does things is just perfect. And I've always rated Howlett, and I love watching him play because he is so smooth. Like he's not like a bitty player. It was skating to the neutral zone with smooth skating. It was skate around the D man smoothly, take it round the corner, around the net, behind the goal, and it's just everything about it is just in one smooth motion.
Yeah,
And it's
He's one of
so
them.
satisfying to watch.
It
Like
is, yeah. When he's
I wish I could skate, like because I would love to do that
yeah, it's
because it would
just
just
like
be so cool.
he's like he's not going hard, heavy skating. It's like he's
No, it's
tiptoeing
just
around, isn't he? But
yeah, it's
he's probably
just
the quickest player in the league, and the puck control, the way he just turns on the edges, it is so good
but
to watch.
he's not the biggest guy,
No,
but this the way he can skate is just that's the way he uses his body really well.
yeah.
And yeah, it's just everything about him is all about his skating, and he just does it perfectly. And he can shoot the puck as well.
All the coaches and players I've spoken to have said he is one of the top, one of the best players in this league, and I think he can go up even more. And Charlie, 40 penalty minutes as well. He can chip in with that ratty game if Leeds need to play that.
Yeah, he gets annoyed. He hates losing. Common theme of this Leeds team. I think they're the worst losers out there.
Yeah,
And I don't say that in a bad way to insult them, but they are so used to winning that when they let their standards drop and they lose,
they hate it.
they hate it. They really do not like it. I remember when I think we met. I can't remember whether we lost or beat Leeds, but when Howlett got pushed out of the rink by his own player because he was
Can't remember.
chirping so much. It was in
Oh,
Swindon.
yeah, I remember that.
You remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
remember.
can't remember whether we won or not, but I like that side of him. I like the fact that when they're losing and he doesn't like it. And I think
It's annoying to watch as a rival fan, I admit it, but when he's on your team, you want those players, and
he's one of
other
them.
players can do other players can do the fighting and the dirty work for them, but he can, like Matt Hayward, he can chirp, he can get in other players' heads because he knows he's one of the best players in the league and he will go at the other end and score a goal. So yeah, he is phenomenal. I think he'll be looking to try and get up to that 90-point mark this season.
Yeah, I think last year, I think he had games where he was really hot and he'd score 2, 3 points, but he had games where he was a bit cold. I don't think he was quite as consistent as he was when he came in for them 29 games and just ripped up every game. And I think he will want to be the guy at Leeds.
Yeah.
So I think he'll have another year, and I think he'll improve on his point total.
And I
I think
know I'm looking a bit further into it, but if Brown does move on next season, we don't know if he will. You'll then be looking to Matt Cowlett to be the main guy then, aren't you? So, yeah, Matt Cowlett next season, expect him to go up even more levels than he has done. And then another guy, Big Game Boy, so that's what we call him. He's back. I assume he'll be playing with Brown again, but we don't know. And he just chips in down with those big goals. He knows where the net is. He can play the physical game. He's just a Leeds player, isn't he?
Yeah, that's the big thing about him is he's got that physical side to him.
Yeah.
Because obviously being on that top line, he can throw the body around and he can get the puck and then he can just pass it off to his teammates. Obviously, when you're with Brown, just get the puck, pass it to him, and then you've got an assist right there. You know what I mean? So he can use his gritty game. He's got the passion. He shows the passion for the club, which is really important too. And he loves it at Leeds. And yeah, he's just another player that's really annoying to watch, but you love him if he's on your team.
Yeah. I think the fact he stayed in Leeds when he could have gone to Solway, possibly back in Scotland, I think just speaks level on how good of an organisation Leeds is, and they're winning all the time, so why not? And then the final couple players, Matt Barron. I know we say this a lot, but he does go under the radar a bit. And I think he got 68 points, Charlie, last season. Is it 68? 69 points, one off. But he's so good, isn't he? He just does everything right. You can see why Aldridge loves him as an import.
I think Matt Barron's the type of player you could shove with anyone and he'll make the players around him
Yeah,
better.
that's a
That's
good
the type
description
of
of him.
player I'd say he is. I don't actually think. Sounds harsh saying 69 points isn't great, but I don't. It's weird because I don't see him as like this natural out and out point scorer. I don't know why. I don't. Maybe it's because he's on Leeds and there's so many point scorers on that team. But he does a good job. He came from the U Sports and the ECIHL where he did a decent job. But I think he just kind of came into Leeds last year. He mainly just played with Brown, sidekick Brown, helped Brown out, made sure Brown was good. And yeah, I think he's got a good two-way game. And whoever he's with, he makes him play better. And I think I think Brown said when he came on a pod, he's one of the smartest hockey players he's played with.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of how he is. He's just very smart, which complements players around him. So whether it's Bissonnette who plays with Brown this year or whether it's Barron will complement whoever he's with and make his line mates better.
Well, you've just spoiled the next new player. Well, they've only got 2 new players this season, but it is Mr. Matthew Bissonnette. And let me tell you this, Leeds fans, because I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, could they have got better? This is the perfect replacement for Jake Witkowski. Dan, defensively, 2-way game, penalty kill, power play, Brown's the scorer, Howlett can score. He's going to dish it to them on a plate. This is a ridiculous signing, man.
I mean, we saw how good he was with Hewitt, and now imagine Bissonnette with about 5 Hewitts. That's what we're gonna see. And yeah, this guy, he could find any pass. I'm 100% sure he could find any pass, and no one else would see it in the whole ring. He's another guy that's so smooth, and everything is just so perfect. And he's got such a good hockey IQ. He's so clever. He can read the play so well. And yeah, having that 2-way game in him is so big too, because he can just read. He can read the scenarios in the game. He knows when he can be offensive, and he knows when he can sort of sit back and let his line mates do the offensive work. Obviously, if he's with Brown, let Brown do the forecheck in. He can stay back a little bit, or the other way around. You know, he can read the game so well, and yeah, he's going to be such a big piece for Leeds.
To put this in perspective, I know this is quite a few years ago, but in the 16-17 season in the Elite League, he got a point per game, 43 and 43 for Manchester. Then in the 18-19, he got 29 in 39 games for Dundee in the Elite League. That just shows levels to what his 2-way game is, and also being able to point score. And then he went to Hull in the first season back in the NHL, got 2 points per games, at 35 points in 17 games. Like, it is stupid. And then looking at the first Sheffield season, where I'd say they were probably their best, I think that was the playoff winning season. He got 61 assists that season. Like, he was on a line with Hewitt, and I think it might have been Graham for a bit of it. He was just assisting and Hewitt for fun, and Hewitt was banging in all the goals. He's going to do that even more in this team, surely, with Brown, with Howlett, whoever he gets put with Buesa. He's just going to have to dish him the puck, and he should be picking up so many more assists than he got last season, Charlie.
Yeah, he's going to have fun. He's going to enjoy himself. Like, he's going to have a good time. I'm going to say this as well. He has got big shoes to fill in, Witkowski.
Of course, yeah.
He's not replacing some bad import. He's replacing a very good import. But yeah, he has scored a point a game in the Elite League before. It's not bad. And he has scored 76 points in 40 games in our league. With Hewitt, he got 61 assists that year.
That's what I just said, Charlie.
Yeah, I was slightly sad out, but
yeah, Charlie. One thing we were talking about is he's a big game player as well.
Oh, that's the thing.
That season where Sheffield won the playoffs, they weren't necessarily the best team in the league, but in those big games, in the playoff games, defensively, offensively, just chuck him out. You can trust him.
I say this as well, and I don't say this to diss him, but he is the type of player who, when Leeds are 3-0 up, I don't think he will give the 100%. I think he's the type of player who go on cruise a bit. He's the type of player who can go on cruise, because when he cruises, he just dishes out passes anyway.
Mr. Cool Bissonnette.
And so I think he's the type of guy who does actually end up playing like 80% most games. But then when he plays MK, 110%. Let's have it, boys. Come on.
It is a ridiculous.
The one thing I do like about him, in such a young Leeds team, you've got a 32-year-old Bissonnette and a 33-year-old Hayward. I think that's important. I think he'll be good in the dressing room. I think the Leeds team's mentality, we know it's unmatched, but I do think it's important to have experienced players in that dressing room who know what it takes. And he's won the playoffs and he's won the cup. And the one thing Leeds have struggled with is
winning a cup trophy.
So, sign one of the best. Well, for me, I'll say how it is. I think he's probably been the best cup performer I've seen since the National League has come back together. I think every cup game I've seen him play, he plays well. And even when they lost in the playoffs to Romford that year in the semi-final, I remember Bissonnette had a good game in the final and Hewitt still got sent off. So I think Bissonnette is that type of guy who could make the difference in the National Cup if they qualify and the playoffs at the end of the year.
Yeah, he is. He's a big game player. Go on, Dan.
Another thing, obviously, no discredit to Sheffield, but he's going to be loving it being back in that winning environment again. Like he's going to be thriving back in these games where he knows he can go to these games in MK, and he's like, we're going to be competing. We're going to be competing against every team. And he's going to be loving it that he's back in that environment with, obviously, I'm not saying Sheffield didn't go out wanting to lose, but this Leeds team are going to be firing and they're going to, again, want to be even better than the season before and the season before that. So he's going to be loving life and he's going to be loving his hockey this year, I think.
Surely you put him with Brown. Surely he's got to be playing with Brown.
Howlett? Imagine how many breakaways Howlett
Yeah.
All I'm saying is all business go, Howlett, skate. And then suddenly,
just like the perfect saucer
to the tape every time.
One thing I do think it helps, and don't get me wrong, their power play wasn't bad last year, but I think he's a very good PP guy. So
he can zip it around.
I think it depends if they play McMullin on the power play, but let's say they do. McMullin, Brown, Bissonnette, Hayward, and Howlett.
Yeah,
Howlett doesn't play top PP. I remember last year.
They had two good power play lines. They split them up.
I think they'll play Boisa. I remember I've seen them play Howlett on the second PP quite a lot of times. I remember they played Bo Neely and then McMullin, and then they had like forwards around them. But I think he'll help their power play. It's a decent signing. I'll give him that one.
Just decent.
Yeah, it's just a decent one. Nah, it's a really, really good signing. And if there's any Leeds fans who have some shade of doubt, get that out of your head immediately, because that is a ridiculous sign. He'd get into any team comfortably on their top line for me. That is a ridiculous sign. And obviously Kieran Brown completes that forward core for the Leeds Knights. That is their roster. And we're going to get onto the expectations. And Charlie, I'm going to start with you this time. Expectations for Leeds going into the next season, with everyone else improving as well, but I think Leeds have improved their team even more.
Okay, this is where do I say that they need to win 2 or 1? I think they have to win the league again.
Ooh.
I think that has to be.
You got to aim your expectations high.
I'm MK are going to have similar expectations, but for me, they have to win the league and one of the cups. And actually, if they win the league again, league and a cup, I think is the expectation. I don't think you should be there, but they have to win the league for me. Like it just has to be. They have to do the triple of the leagues. But I think a league and a cup is important for them. I was watching a video on Chicago Blackhawks' dynasty. And so to keep their dynasty going, maybe it is the last season of Brown, like you said. If it is, even more important, you have to win the league with him as the captain in his final year.
Dan, similar to Charlie?
Yeah, I think, go for the league. It'd be pretty cool to see him do it 3 times in a row. That'd be fun. I don't think I've ever seen that before. No. And then I think, I think a minimum is a cup and league, I think.
Yeah.
I think they have to win 2 because like we said, they're going to be frustrated from last year, even though it's such a good year. They're going to want to get that trophy, and I wouldn't even be surprised if they got the treble. To be fair, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I think it's very, very hard to win the treble. I really do. I think their expectation is actually to try and win this cup. I think this Bissonnette signing, he's a big cup player, and he's won it with Sheffield before. Leeds haven't actually won this cup before. They lost to Swindon in the Autumn Cup. I know this cup's a bit different, but I think they've got to try and win this cup on top of the league as well. Sorry. I think they've got to win the league again, do the treble. I know it's going to be hard with teams getting better, the standards going up. I think they will try. They have to try and win the league again. And the playoffs, I am a bit lenient with the playoffs because I think it's proven in recent years not not always the best team will win. And that is proven last year, obviously, with Peterborough, the Sheffield year, they won it. I know Leeds won it the year before that. Sorry, the year before last, but they made hard work of it, didn't they, Dan? Like Raiders, they nearly pipped them to it. So I think the playoffs is a bit difficult. Obviously, they'll want to do the treble. They want to be the first team to do the treble. But I think, as Charlie said, if they can get over the hump of winning that cup, I think that'll be very good. And I will say this, and I've said this to Charlie, I've got to be honest. I think they'll lose a few more games this season. I think the opponents as the teams have got better. I think defenses have got better. You've now got import goalkeepers. They've got better. And I don't think they're going to be 6-0 in Peterborough. They might do it, but I don't think they're going to be 6-0 in Peterborough. I don't think they're going to be 6-0 in Sheffield this season. It's going to be a bit different. But again, I think the top teams will lose as well. I think MK will lose a bit more at home. So it'll be interesting. But they are the dominant team. Ones to watch is then, and I'm actually going to come to you first, Dan, if you've got your ones to watch for Leeds this season.
Yeah, I've got mine. I'm going to go with Finn Braden.
Ooh, okay, nice.
I've always rated him. Obviously, he got that chance against Basingstoke when they played,
Yeah.
and he scored. Surprise. um, but yeah, he's every time I've watched him, he's obviously, like I said, he's so young. He's got such a good IQ, and yeah, he's picked up some really good points last year. I didn't actually realize he got that many, to be fair. But
Yeah.
but yeah, he's just going to keep building. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on him throughout the year.
Nice one. Yeah, that's a good pick. Charlie, who have you got for ones to watch?
Christianis Fugalis.
Oh, he's gone with it.
I think he's going to rip up the league. I think he's going to have a really good year. I think he's going to get 20 points at D, which is really good. And I think people will be going, oh, Leeds got a dual national, and they'll be moaning about it. So I think it'll be funny.
Um, you've chosen the two like young lads. I'm gonna go with. You're gonna say it's boring, but just for the pure, I think he can go even more levels up. I'm gonna go Matt Howlett.
I was going to pick him as mine.
Ones to watch Matt Howlett because I think he can get up to that 90, even 100 point mark. And I think he's got a really big role on that second line to get even more if he's not going to be playing on first line. And I just think, yeah, it's just scary, man. He's such a good player. So he's my ones to watch. And also because of how good he is to watch. I know me and Dan were talking about how fun it is to watch him. But if you're playing against Leeds, you're watching Leeds, just watch Matt Howlett on the puck. Watch how he plays. Watch how he skates. So yeah, he's my ones to watch. It's quite difficult with Leeds because they've all proven themselves. The whole team has proven themselves. So it's hard to pick a ones to watch, which is a bit different. But yeah, that's the Leeds night special. Anything else to say, lads, on the Leeds nights?
Don't write off the Leeds nights. Whenever you doubt them, they go, hey, we could score 120 points, and then you go, oh, they've lost some offense. So then they sign McMullin and get the best defense. So yeah, don't doubt Leeds. Full season out of Boyce, full season from an import. Hopefully, all three imports should play full year. Full season from Bo Neely as well. So they've got a lot of players who are not going to start midway through the year. They're starting from the beginning.
Yeah. Dan, one thing I will say, it will be interesting with the depth. Will they sign another player? Especially another top player who can play on a top six role, possibly. We're not saying that Ollie and Braden can't, but depth-wise, they're not looking as big as a Milton Keynes or even a Peterborough or Sheffield. I've got to say, like, it'd be interesting if they do get a couple of injuries. I'm sure they'll have some players who would easily come into their team because it's Leeds. But the depth, maybe, could it be an issue?
I'm wondering if they're leaving that spot open for any players that come up from the other Leeds team.
Possibly, yeah.
I'm wondering if like he's going to be Aldridge to be keeping a close eye on them, and if they
Owen Dowell, don't they? Who's quite
if
good.
they get that spot obviously open up, then obviously they can come up and obviously play a few games. But I don't know. Potentially they could see another signing, or it will be another signing halfway through the season.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. We've seen teams do it. We've seen them do it before. So, yeah, we hope you enjoyed this episode. And yeah, we'll be back with another team special. Make sure if you haven't watched all the other ones, you now go and watch those ones as well, so you learn even more about the teams, about the leagues. And we hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.